Joining me from Capitol Hill, Colorado Democratic Senator Michael Bennet. Senator, who pays the political price for this?
Well, I think the American people pay the price for this, which is why we should never shut the government down. There's no government in America that ever shuts itself down over politics, and we should allow this to happen. We should never shut the government down. But I think it's very clear that if it does shut down, President Trump, who has said over and over and over again that he wants a shutdown, that he would welcome a shutdown, that we should have a shutdown, is going to own this terrible shutdown.
What's on the table from Democrats to the president in order to avert this?
Well, it's not just Democrats. Remember, the Republicans control the Senate and the Republicans control the House. The Republicans and Democrats in the Senate and the House made an agreement with President Trump to pass a clean CR. That's another topic, by the way. For the 10 years that I've been here, 40% of the days that I've been here have been continuing resolutions, not real budgets. That is ridiculous in and of itself. But we had an agreement, and 100 senators, or a unanimous group of senators, voted for this. And then the president changed his mind. So the president should honor the deal that he made, and we should leave the government open and continue working for the American people.
He does control the Senate and the House. Yes, Republicans do control those bodies. But in order to pass a CR in the Senate, as you well know, he needs 60 votes, which would mean some Democrats need to come on board. So what right now are Democrats willing to give in order to avert this?
I think myself that we should just do the deal that we all agreed to. And, you know, you were talking about the steel slats or whatever it is he's calling it now. You know, the history on this issue is that every single Democrat in the Senate voted for the immigration bill in 2013, which spent not $25 billion on border security, $46 billion on border security, 350 miles of fencing. We doubled the number of immigration guards at the border. We put a whole bunch of technology down there so that we could see every single inch of the border. And by the way, unlike what Donald Trump is trying to do now, even though he said Mexico would pay for the wall, the taxpayers didn't pay for the wall in our bill. It was paid for by immigration fees. So he broke his promise on Mexico. He's trying to stick the taxpayers with the bill. And maybe these people with the GoFundMe site that you were talking about could help him sort of try to keep his promise. But the reality is the American people want a secure border. They don't want his invented political issue. And I'll say this also, Katie, I think he doesn't want the wall. I think he wants the issue of the wall. And I say that because, having been part of the Gang of Eight in 2013 that wrote the immigration bill that I was just talking about, I was also part of the Gang of Six that tried to rescue the Dreamers by giving the president an authorization on his terrible idea for a wall, and that provoked him to refer to African countries the way he referred to African countries. So I think the White House isn't probably competent to do a deal on this, and I think the president, that suits him because I don't think he wants a deal. I think he wants the issue.
So are you saying there's been multiple deals on the table over the past 2 years, or year and a half, really, and each time the president has moved the goalposts?
He moves the goalposts. He says, come down and talk about it. I'm interested. I'm excited about it. And then he meets with Steve Miller or somebody else who tells him that he's getting rooked, and then you can't make a deal. He's not a serious person when it comes to this stuff, and I don't think he cares what the consequences are that he's going to provoke, which, by the way, is not anything I feel happy about. That is a terrible situation for our country.
Will there
far beyond the federal workforce, it's a terrible situation for the United States of America, for somebody in that job to be acting so cavalierly, not just on the government shutdown, but on pulling out from Syria and Afghanistan and all the other stuff that he's managed to do just this week.
Sneak in two more questions. Will there ever be a situation in the near future where Democrats will be willing to make a compromise on the wall that does include some immigration reform, and including potentially safety for Dreamers, a safety net for Dreamers here in the States?
I certainly would like to do something for Dreamers, and I think that would be a wonderful thing for the country if we could do that.
So yes. How much money would you be willing to give him for it?
Well, I don't know.
And then finally,
By
Jim,
the way, I don't think I mean, again, he said he wasn't going to do anything to jeopardize the Dreamers. And of course, he did the exact opposite when he came into office.
what do you make of Defense Secretary Mattis resigning?
I think that it is, it's horrible for for a couple reasons. One is that there are a lot of people in this body, Republicans and Democrats, who took some solace in the fact that he was in the administration, because everybody here knows what a fine and honorable patriot he is, and the adult supervision was something that was required, and his judgment was required. So that's a huge loss for America. But I also would say that his letter says it all when he writes about the enduring values and enduring alliances that we need to protect as a nation. Those are being tested right now. They are being eroded and in some cases wrecked by this president of the United States. And every American, whether they're in Congress or whether they are sitting at home watching you, needs to do our part to make sure we protect those values and those alliances until this administration is thankfully a thing of the past.
Are your Republican colleagues comfortable right now with this presidency? So far, they've voted in line with him. The House voted in line with this.
I know.
With this new CR.
I think that they are deeply worried that if they cross him, they will be incinerated by him. But that's not the same thing as saying that they think what he's doing is right. I think they think what he's doing is substantively wrong, and I think they think it's politically idiotic.
Colorado Democratic Senator Michael Bennet. Senator, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm sorry I have a cold, which makes me sound even worse than usual.
No, you sound perfectly fine. We hope you feel better, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Katy.